you missed his second half last night, you missed something special. Like what he did last night, and they tried everybody. They had Kawhi on him. They had Paul George on him. No matter what, he was getting buckets. 36 in the second half, and he was unstoppable, and he was a big reason why the Jazz ended up coming back. They looked terrible. He missed 20 straight shots in the first half. All of a sudden, the Jazz couldn't make a shot. Like, they just went through a drought, but he turned it on second half. They get the win, 112-109 over the Clippers. But the most important, I think, part of this is a development of a player in Donovan Mitchell who was not, a late lottery pick and has emerged as a star. And in fact,
at Louisville, he was not like this.
In Louisville?
Louisville, he was a slasher. He was a defender.
Right.
I mean, he would get hot every once in a while, but it was not like this. I don't think anybody really expected Donovan Mitchell to go into this stratosphere, like superstar level.
Where he's come,
yes.
right? What he's come and what he's become. And I remember also the story of Rick Pitino, who coached him in college, was calling teams in the NBA saying, "Hey, he's better than what you saw. I didn't use him the way."
Yeah, I was going to say college basketball doesn't allow players to really.
Some programs, right.
Most programs don't allow players to really flourish for you to be able to see their true skill set. So you've got to be able to identify them and say, okay, he fits into my system.
Scout well, you mean?
Yeah, scout well, identify him well to be able to say he fits in my system with no problem, because some of these coaches are coaching their systems. Mm-hmm. And in the pros, it's so different. That's the same way in football as well, where you look at a guy, you're like, well, he's okay. And he gets to the NFL, you go, well, where was he at in college?
Yeah. It's. I always think of when Anton Jameson and Vince Carter were at UNC. And Anton Jameson was the player of the year.
Great example.
But Vince Carter was the better player. Was the better pro. He just had a better pro game. It's just he wasn't that for UNC. But now what is Donovan Mitchell becoming? We love doing comparisons. Here's Stephen A. Smith on First Take making a very interesting parallel from Donovan Mitchell and a future Hall of Famer.
They got a superstar, too, because Donovan Mitchell is on that level.
Facts.
Let me be very, very clear. I'm not speculating. I ain't guessing. I don't need to see. I've seen it. Donovan Mitchell is DWade 2.0. This brother is something special.
He was definitely special.
So when we say
last
2.0,
night.
what does 2.0 mean?
Well,
like the next iteration or like a level above D-Wade?
No, usually the 2.0 is the
next.
upgrade.
That's what
the
I think.
original product.
That's what I think.
Yeah, but it's just D-Wade is older. You're seeing new. Doesn't mean he's going to be better. Doesn't mean he is going to eclipse what everything D-Wade did. It's just like I bought a car in 1989. It's a whatever now. I buy one in 1992.
Yeah, it's the next version.
Yeah, the next iteration. Okay.
But yes,
next iteration.
But I'm with you. If
2.0, I'm like, that's an upgrade.
Yeah,
I'm
if
like,
we're going literal,
I don't
we're
know
like,
about
better
upgrade.
features.
It's not an upgrade like
all right,
that.
I got you. Just making sure.
Otherwise, why am I getting the new upgrade? I don't need it if I don't. But the bottom line is that
screen is wider.
Not only, but what's interesting though is that D-Wade is obviously in the ownership group now. We've talked about that with Utah. He was courtside for the game last night and spent a lot of time talking to Donovan Mitchell in the second half. And even Donovan Mitchell made reference to that, saying how valuable that was to him to have a guy like that in his ear throughout the game. And that's what I think is important when, of course, you talk about Utah and players who want to play there and why D-Wade's presence is so important.
If I was the Clippers, I'll complain to the NBA. They got an extra coach.
He's not supposed to.
Owners
do that all the time.
But I bet you if somebody was to raise that as a stink, they would be like, yeah, we need to investigate it and look into it. They're not supposed to have but eight coaches.
Jazz were fined for having a coach not on the bench or
yes,
something
right?
like that.
But here's why I think that move is so important, and here's why I think D-Wade plays a pivotal role. It was like yesterday, I remember watching that awkward moment with Shaquille O'Neal and Donovan Mitchell post-game, right, where Shaquille was like, I'm not sure you're a superstar. Yeah. And Donovan said, okay, and you felt it there. You felt it was personal for Donovan.
That's your opinion.
That's your opinion. I'm going to be that way. So like I said, like this whole playoff series has been wide open. It's an opportunity for the next gen to really set themselves apart.
Fair point.
And Donovan took advantage of that opportunity last night to show you that he is that next iteration. I'm not saying he's 2.0, D-Wade, but there are a ton of similarities with the way he plays and how he moves.
Think about the Clippers. They gave up 43 times to Luka in the first round, 45 points to Donovan Mitchell. His third career 45-point game in the playoffs tied for the third most in a player's first 30 games of his NBA playoff career, and he hasn't even reached 30 games yet. 28 games he's played so far. The Jazz also did not play with Mike Conley. Keep that in mind as well. He had a hamstring issue, so he was out of the game. One player we do have to mention as well in this game is Paul George of the Clippers. Now, he does get you 20 and 10, but 4 of 17 shooting. Continues to struggle with his shooting, 24% from the floor. 10th career postseason game shooting 25% or worse. The third most games by any player in the shot clock era. Think about that for a minute. And also, like he has been struggling with his shooting. And now they were taunting him with the fans were taunting him with overrated. This is playoff.
He had 20
P.
points, but he made 9 out of 10 free throws.
Yeah,
so
he gets to the free throw line.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but the shooting part and defense was not great either.